Well, it's no secret that New York's been trying to get rid of a lot of things. They've been trying to get rid of the rich. Now they're trying to get rid of the whites. They're trying to get rid of the cops for a while. People are saying, like authority figures, black authority figures, are saying that it's racist that black people can only be either cops or inmates. I don't know why that's racist, but well, I guess it's because they think that cops are evil. And now they're trying to get rid of prisons. Now, it's not like Mamdani started this, just to be clear. I mean, he's continuing the work, the good work of removing all of the prisons, or most of the prisons, and all of the cops and so forth, and just letting New York City turn into Gotham. But it's not him who started it, so there are other people to blame for this. So just keep that in mind. Everyone needs to be blamed rightfully. So let's let him get into it.
Now, for decades, the daily conditions at Rikers have been calamitous and unsafe.
I don't know what exactly that's supposed to mean. Calamitous and unsafe. By what definition exactly? I mean, he's going to give examples, of course, but what a thing to say. Calamitous. You mean like a tornado or a earthquake? Like a volcano? Calamitous. Unsafe. I mean, it's a prison. Like, it's got to be to some degree safe. Like, no prison's perfect, but unsafe as in what?
Rikers, as we know, is broken. 2 weeks.
As we know, it's always these affirmations of what you think. As we know. Do you know that though?
Ago, 2 men suffered medical emergencies and died while in DOC custody.
2 weeks ago, 2 men suffered a medical emergency, which might have ended up slaying them, even if they happened to have suffered this medical emergency in the ICU of the best hospital in the world. Maybe it didn't matter that they were in Rikers. You don't really know, do you? You don't even know what this medical emergency was, right? But don't bother with the details. All that matters is that we're going to spin the story that it may not have happened, or it wouldn't have happened if you had followed my plan, or it's not his plan, but the plan of mental health that had been enacted for years past and is now coming to fruition.
These are not isolated incidents. More than 100 people have died on Rikers since 2015.
More than 100 since 2015. Now, if you look on the side here, I'm using Firefox split screen. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. 10,000 inmates is the average daily population of Rikers, with a potential total of 15,000 detainees. And, well, he didn't necessarily exclude the civilians and the officers and stuff. We could just assume that he's only talking about the inmates here. 100 people in 11 years now. That's not really so many when you consider that there's an average of 10,000 people there every single day, right? I mean, that doesn't seem like so bad, especially when you're not really giving the circumstances. Like, it is a prison, it's a correctional institution / mental institution. So you've got crazy people there and you've got criminals there. By what manner exactly did they die? I mean, was it self-inflicted? Were they slaughtering each other? How did it happen? Why are they victims here?
The facilities at Rikers have long languished in disrepair.
Right. Well, this says that in 2015, it had a budget of $860 million US per year. And in 2021, an analysis by the New York City Comptroller Scott Stringer said that it cost the city about, I love that they say about, and then they give it down to the exact dollar, about $556,539 to detain one person for 1 year. No human that I know of requires $556,539 to live for 1 year. Even with medical stuff going on, unless they're having heart transplants or something, there's no practical way you could justify spending $556,000 per person per year at a place where 80-something% of the people are just being held until their court trial. So clearly something's going on here. And instead of fixing the problem, they just want to level the place.
Creating the conditions for violence and putting those with health conditions at serious risk.
I would say the fact that it's a prison is creating the conditions of violence, but maybe that's just me.
So often, the detainees who enter Rikers, 84% of whom are being held pre-trial, leave damaged by their time on the island.
I don't think there's any way to prove that, really. I mean, they're already in such a scenario from their own actions, unless they happen to be innocent, so how are you going to prove that the island damaged them?
Traumatized, destabilized, and at greater risk for recidivism.
This is, again, there's no way to really prove that. It's just positive vibes, happy thoughts, the kind of left-wing bleeding heartisms. There's no way to prove that. It's just like, oh, we're going to do something to help people, and then all the women say, oh, feelings, and that makes it a good thing. But is it a good thing? I mean, what exactly is he planning to do with the people who he's going to let out of the prison? I mean, he's presumably let them out of the prison.
I want to thank the corrections officers who show up to work every single day despite being surrounded by these very same conditions.
Except they're not prisoners.
For decades, our city's approach to mental health has leaned heavily on criminalization.
No. Your city's safety has leaned heavily on incarceration, not criminalization.
For many in the throes of crisis, Rikers has been their holding cell. As such, it has become a de facto mental health facility.
Now, he describes crisis there in a very interesting way. For many in the throes of crisis, it's become a mental health facility. So are you saying that literally all of them are undergoing a mental health crisis? That's why they're all criminals? Just because mental health? Well, that's a bold stance. I mean, it is a partial mental health facility, but pretty much everywhere has to be a partial mental health facility these days because pretty much everyone is going to at least claim mental health in order to try and get out of a prison sentence because humans are rats and they make up any excuse they can.
Now standing as the second largest in the country, forcing staff and corrections officers to shoulder a burden they were never supposed to bear.
I don't know about that exactly. What do you mean never supposed to bear? I mean, it was established in 1932. Used to be a different prison. It was on a different island called Welfare Island, and this place was built up to take off the load of Welfare Island because Welfare Island was overbloated with too many people, too many prisoners. And I think it was kind of explicitly made to take over that burden, actually. I mean, maybe not made for the promise of hyper mental health and giving prisoners every luxury of life, but it was kind of specifically made as a correctional institution and mental institution. It's one of the world's largest, according to this Wikipedia.
And Rikers' remote location only deepens this dysfunction. For those suffering from an acute health or mental health condition, it can take 12 to 14 months just to get a single appointment. And those receiving care on the island are treated not in an outfitted care facility, but rather in a bus depot.
Right. So the prisoners are being given free health care, free mental health, and they have to wait a while to get it. I mean, that's not really super surprising, is it? You want to give them same-day delivery. I suggest you spend all that money you're spending on this kind of crap on just bringing in more psychiatrists. Fill up New York with a bunch of psychiatrists, send them all, give each prisoner their own individual psychiatrist. Why don't you see if that helps? Before leveling the prison, you could just pay a bunch of psychiatrists to come in and give them all their own special treatment every single day if you want. Wouldn't that be like a safer option before just like bulldozing it at all or whatever he's planning on doing? I mean, it just seems like it would be cheaper, or at least like you could do it as like a test run and see. But, I doubt they want to do that because it's not going to help. The mental health isn't going to help. It's just going to result in innocent people dying.
This system fails incarcerated individuals in need of help in two distinct ways. First, they do not receive the care they need for acute conditions. Second, it deters patients from seeking critical and sometimes life-saving treatment in the first place.
So it deters them from actually seeking treatment. and that's the fault of the facility. How is that not their fault then? Would you want to force mental health down their throat? I mean, you've been forcing it down my throat for a decade. I guess you may as well do it to the prisoners as well.
These conditions are deeply counterproductive, and time after time, they have turned preventable situations into full-scale crises. It does not have to be this way.
Again, what does crisis mean here? Full-scale crises. What does that mean? 100 people have died there in the past 11 years, with an average of 10,000 people per day, inmates per day. Like, what is the full-scale crisis he's talking about? Again, like, did I miss something on the news? Like, I didn't hear about anything. Like, Batman, is he out there? The Joker, the Riddler? What's going on? Full-scale crises. Like, again, is this Gotham City? He's trying to turn it into that, but you'd think it was already in that case.
We can build a system that actually works for everyone. Those who are incarcerated, those who are serving in their jobs as corrections officers, and our city as a whole. In 2019, the City Council voted to close Rikers and replace it with borough-based jails and therapeutic housing units.
Right, so right there, he said in 2019 this was voted in, so it's not really his fault. I mean, he's just continuing on with this lunacy, but I do think he probably deserves some blame. I mean, they all do. So they're replacing this with smaller jails in boroughs, and these, I think, are going to hold like a total of like 3,000 or 4,000 for like all of them. I think it's less than half of what Rikers is going to hold. So that seems like a bit of an issue. Someone later on is going to ask a question about it and it will be clarified, but that seems like a bit of an issue to me, because what are you going to do with the rest of them besides just let them out to run mayhem on the city?
Yet the previous administration delayed the construction of borough-based jails and dragged their feet on the opening of therapeutic health facilities like this one. While the construction of this outposted therapeutic unit here at Bellevue was completed in 2025, its doors have stayed closed for 15 months. Today, we are charting a different course, one that diverts from the path of neglect and begins the process of closing Rikers Island once and for all. This therapeutic housing unit is home to 104 beds and will deliver high-quality care for people in custody.
Wait. Did he just say 104? Rikers holds an average of 10,000 up to 15,000? Okay.
With acute medical conditions and serious mental illness. Patients will begin moving in tomorrow. Rather than wait critical hours and travel off-site to get the treatment they need, specialty services will be just an elevator ride away. Rather than enduring the crumbling conditions that have defined Rikers for so long, they will receive care in a space designed for rehabilitation. Like the borough-based jails currently under construction, this therapeutic unit has been designed to improve the well-being of those experiencing crisis.
He says crisis again. He's literally... Have you figured it out yet? I keep saying, what does he mean by saying crisis? He's replaced the word of a criminal with being crisis or some other delineation of that. He's replacing incarceration, like any kind of blame that's placed on these people for being criminals. I mean, they haven't gone to their hearings yet, but they're criminals, right? And he's just replacing any guilt they have with crisis, blaming it on mental health. But they're shutting down a prison. It's not going to work, and it's all going to be A-okay'd by people who think that it's basically just a communist outlook where you can just use positivity and togetherness to fix all the problems, and what's going to happen is you're going to have no real legal system to deal with these people, no police, no prison, and mental health is not going to work, as it almost never does.
This means brand new physical therapy and occupational therapy equipment, natural light, voluntary respite rooms, and a vast recreational space.
For prisoners.
This unit meets DOC protection standards, so we can ensure the health and safety of both those in custody and corrections officers. This is only the beginning of our efforts. We are bringing the same model to facilities in Brooklyn and the Bronx, projected to be completed by 2029, bringing our total number of therapeutic beds to 340.
Wow, there it is, 340. And there's 10,000 daily inmates at Rikers, on average. Just, okay, sure. That sounds like it's going to work. Not to mention the cost of dealing with mental health is way higher than a normal inmate.
Now, as we advance this work, we do so with a clear goal. A city where every New Yorker is safe, where we deliver clear and tangible improvements to long broken systems.
He can't use clear and tangible words to describe things, and yet this is going to provide clear and tangible outcomes to broken systems.
Where we fulfill long-standing commitments to reform. One where we work every day to ensure that care under our city reflects the dignity that every New Yorker deserves.
So skipping ahead a little bit, because there was an intermission where some of these other people talked, where they basically just said some typical patting themselves on the back sort of nonsense. But going back to Mamdani for one more thing real quick. And this is a good question. It's a question I asked earlier, but they're going to ask it and you're going to hear the answer from Mamdani.
Morning, Mr. Mayor.
Morning, Marsha. How are you?
My question to you is this is the first step in trying to close Rikers. And the date for closing Rikers, as we all know, is 2027, which is next year. Given the fact that there are about 7,000 or so inmates at Rikers now, the borough-based jails hold about 4,000. What steps are you going to be taking to reduce the jail population, and will you be able to meet the 2027 deadline?
Right, so that's what I asked earlier. Like, what are you going to do with the excess prisoners? And they said 7,000, so I don't know if they're winding down or if there's just not a lot. I mean, these people think that being a cop is a bad thing. They think having police is evil. They think prisons are evil. So I don't know if they're winding down or what, but like I keep saying, like, it goes up to 15,000 detainees. That's like the maximum capacity, and this new borough system holds 3,000, 4,000, whatever. Like, what are you going to do with the rest of them, man?
Over the course of the campaign, I spoke about our commitment to closing Rikers Island, and I also spoke candidly with New Yorkers about the fact that the prior administration's lack of interest, to put it charitably, towards fulfilling that meant that the stated deadline was practically impossible to fulfill, because we've seen years of a flouting of not just recommendations, but requirements, frankly.
So he's blaming the previous administration here. I don't know if they are to blame for this. I mean, it seems like they started the legislation to remove it or sealed it anyway. So I don't know who's to blame here exactly, but that's not really the question here. Meeting the deadline, to me, like, I don't care about that. I care about, I mean, to a degree anyway. I mean, I am an American. I don't live in New York, but I'm certainly a bit concerned about having thousands of criminals just pouring back out on the streets.
It is going to take us quite a bit of time to ensure that we can put our city back on the path that the city council voted for in 2019. And it will also take a whole of government approach. So yes, we have our remediation manager here. We have our public advocate. We have city councilors. We have our borough president. We also have our district attorney for the borough of Manhattan, Alvin Bragg, who's here with us. We have many others who have joined us, because it will take all of us to create a system where we can finally ensure that we are processing these cases at the speed that is necessary to actually deliver on the spirit of the law. And I'll just add one thing. Many New Yorkers know this, but for those who don't, the vast majority of New Yorkers who are held on Rikers Island are being held pre-trial. That's correct. And the inability of our city to move quickly at the pace that's required has meant that there are individuals who have been languishing on Rikers Island, not just for months, but sometimes for years. This is part and parcel of not just transforming the physical infrastructure of what it means to have our criminal justice system, but also what it looks like to act upon that same spirit.
Yeah, he didn't answer the question, though, did he? What are you going to do with the 4,000 people that aren't going to fit into the borough's jail? Yeah, sure, the legislation, the bureaucracy, that is a problem. You've got these prisoners sitting in Rikers for years sometimes without being processed, and that's an issue, no doubt about it. But you didn't really say anything about how you're going to speed up the bureaucracy of that. And you didn't really say anything about how you're going to fit those 4,000 or more excess prisoners into the boroughs where they won't fit. You didn't really say that. All you did was kind of like name a bunch of names of the other people involved, kind of like you're just trying to take everyone down with you instead of taking all the blame for yourself. But to mention this point here, there's the story of Khalif Browder. This is someone who did spend way too much time in the prison system because of slow bureaucracy. This guy, he was born to a mother who had a drug addiction, put into child protective services like pretty much immediately. He was the youngest of 7 biological siblings. Mind you, that Mamdani and the rest of New York want to solve the problem of the poor black and brown families who can't afford to take care of their kids by giving them a bunch of free money, which will definitely solve the problem. No, the problem was actually solved by Vanita Browder, his adoptive mother, not by his own mother, or his own father, for that matter. She had raised 34 foster children by 2015, which is impressive. This guy was charged with third-degree grand larceny, and he testified that, or the police testified that he had crashed a stolen bakery truck into a stationary car while joyriding. He was charged as an adult. He pleaded guilty, but then later said he was a bystander. He was registered as a youthful offender and placed on probation. Then there was an incident where he allegedly stole a bag of valuables. Some guy from Mexico claimed. He was then kind of charged with that. He was taken to Rikers. He spent a long time in Rikers, 3 years. And this guy, he seemed to have a problem with authority, or maybe he was a hero. I don't know. It says a gang member spat in his face. He then punched the gang member and was set upon by 15 other gang members. He later said that the gang member was throwing shoes at people, so he told him to stop. Then he took the gang member's sneaker and threw it, and that's when he got mad and swung at him. I don't know necessarily that I believe that. Maybe he just got in a fight with him. I don't know. After that, it says that he got in a verbal confrontation with a guard, and then the guards came and attacked him and put him in solitary confinement. Like, he seemed to have an issue with people that resulted in him constantly getting in trouble, and he spent like 2 of his 3 years in Rikers in solitary confinement. Then, after 3 years, he, in March of 2013, he appeared before the Bronx judge Patricia DiMango, who offered him immediate release if he admitted guilt to 2 misdemeanors, with time served. So immediate release if he admitted guilt to 2 misdemeanors. Whether or not he did it, I don't know. He knows, I don't know. Well, he knew anyway. Browder refused guilt and returned to Rikers. So he just refused to admit guilt and went back. Like, he's stubborn. Then at May, the same year, so not much longer, the guy who accused him was in Mexico, apparently, and could not testify. So they just let the dude out after 3 years in Rikers. He got his GED. He went to college. He wrote a paper on solitary confinement and stuff, said maybe another form of punishment or segregation should be implemented to deal with inmates who break jail rules, as opposed to inmates who cause severe harm to other inmates or correction officers, because the mental health risk it poses is too great. I don't exactly know what he means there regarding like breaking jail rules, as opposed to I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did or what he was punished for. The dude spent 2 years in solitary confinement. I don't know if that was just because someone hated him or if he had a problem or what. He apparently had mental health issues, as he himself said. He kept trying to self-delete over and over again. In one of the comments, he said the CEOs goaded him into doing it, but another one said when he was trying to do it, an officer intervened and stopped him. He was quoted as saying that he felt like certain things changed about him, and they might not change back. Before I went to jail, I didn't know about a lot of stuff, and now that I'm aware, I'm paranoid. I feel like I was robbed of my happiness, which is a very bizarre thing to say. It sounds like he's just like learned the truth of Cthulhu or something, or that he's got like PTSD from going to war or something. I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about or what happened to him, but he clearly had issues, and he went through a lot of issues. In the end, he was admitted to a psychiatric ward after another attempt at self-deleting. And this is getting to my point. This is what Mamdani and them are trying to do. They're trying to save the world with mental health. He then hanged himself outside of his bedroom window at his mother's home, and his mother was the one who discovered the body. 3 years later, she would pass of a heart attack, and they claimed it was a broken heart. This woman raised 34 foster children, and he hanged himself in a place where she was pretty much guaranteed to be the one to find it. So, yeah, he should have never been in solitary confinement for 2 years. I don't think he should have been in the prison system without even being tried for 3 years. 3 years of delaying this guy's trial. And then eventually he's just let out because the guy he allegedly stole from went to Mexico. And that's insane. Like, we should not have systems like that. It doesn't matter if this guy's guilty or not. We should not have systems like that in place. So, yeah, there are things to be improved, no question about it. I mean, it's a prison at the end of the day. It's going to be wonky. There's no doubt about that. But to say that we can just get rid of all the prisons, we can get rid of all the police, that we can just mental health people, it's madness. It's not going to solve anything. And honestly, the prisoners self-deleting, that's like the best case scenario, because the worst case scenario, well, maybe not best case, I guess best case scenario is if they actually like return to society and they're somehow healed, which again, I don't think that's going to happen for a whole lot of people. It's been proven that it usually doesn't. But I think for most people, we're probably looking at them continuing to be a danger. The people who go in and out of the system over and over and over and over and over again. Some people get arrested many tens of times. It all stops once they eventually kill someone. And that is how it usually happens with these kinds of people. So we'll see whether or not this pans out. But I suspect that it's a bad idea to get rid of the prisons and to get rid of the police. And it's an incredibly bad idea to call it racist because, well, once you get rid of the prisons and the police, it's going to set a narrative pretty quickly. I don't know if it's going to be the one you want to hear. See, this guy's story, Browder, it was the inspiration for Barack Obama as president, signing in legislation to make it illegal to put juveniles in solitary confinement. So one person had one thing happen to them, and the narrative changed for the entire country. And this is the problem we have. Well, one of the many problems we have is this knee-jerk thing that people do. One person heard a story about one other person, and now suddenly everything needs to change. I mean, maybe it's good that it changed. Maybe it's bad that it changed. Maybe there's a lot more we could do. Maybe we're trying to do too much. Maybe some people can be saved. Maybe some people can't be saved. But at the very least, I think any sane person would sit there and say that we need a peacekeeping force and we need a way to incarcerate truly dangerous people. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say incarceration is very useful for truly dangerous people. I mean, lacking Factory Island, I'm not sure that putting them in prison only for them to come out and cause problems again is a good solution. So I don't think mental health is going to work, but yeah, prisons probably aren't going to work any better. But as for everyone else, like you can't just let them run free, man. You can't just we got 300 beds for mental health. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please do the YouTube things.